in the studio, we'll be going over what has happened today, drawing on the incidents that has happened, the attacks that has happened, but also the arrest, the detention, and everything unfolded. We're going to be filling in the blanks for you here on PMS. We're going to be staying with my colleague on the ground, Kojo Brace. As you see there, in short, it appears that the crowds seem to be growing tonight at the EOCO headquarters, and as you can see that play out there on your screens right now. And my colleagues on the ground will bring you the very latest on the particular subject. Plus, we'll also hear from the leadership of Parliament. This is something that they are taking a keen interest in, and I want to bring them in when we sit for a conversation. And just briefly on what we can expect tonight on this matter. 59 days since they went on recess, but as you know, it has been a major issue in Parliament, looking at some of the key issues that we know that they're going to be dealing with: clarifying Article 146 process, revoking LI 246 vet, 7 Supreme Court nominees, reduced passport fees, possible return of anti-gay bill. It's not in the majority leader's opening statement today. Why? We'll get clarity for you when we sit for a conversation. Missing ECG containers, we know, is part of the issues that the majority leader touched on that he will be interested in looking at. We know that there are at least 56 bills and legislative instruments that will come before this meeting of Parliament when they begin the full work from tomorrow. And key bills to be introduced include a Tribunals Bill, Conduct of Public Officers Bill, and there have been calls that the President convert his the Code of Conduct that was launched recently into legislation. Maybe we'll find expression in some of the Scholarship Authority Bill will also come for consideration. Legalizing Okada operations also all coming before Parliament for consideration. This is what we're going to be looking at today, but we will not leave what is happening at the EOCO headquarters. I want to show you live pictures from there at the EOCO headquarters, where party members have thronged. They've been there since around 4 when we got word that Wontumi had been picked up. My colleague Kojo Brace will join me again. A few things we need to update you on if you're just joining us on PMS and wondering what is happening. One is, where is Wontumi? We understand that he's there. That's why we see police, military, and party supporters and executives there with us tonight. And then secondly, what has he been charged with? We know what he was cautioned on yesterday when he went to the police CID. We don't know what he's been charged with. We'll get clarity for you. Is he with his lawyers? The party at the beginning said they had no clue whether he's been given access to his lawyers because he was arrested when he had left the company of his lawyers shortly after leaving the police headquarters. There was a pit maneuver, cars, coming in and putting him in a sort of they call it pit. That if you know how the security operatives use their vehicles when they want to immobilize a moving vehicle. And individuals in masks came out of the vehicle, from what we understand, and he asked him to join them in their vehicle to the EOCO headquarters, and that is where he landed. We want to know, what is he being kept for? Will he be granted bail? He was granted bail by the police yesterday. Will he now be detained overnight? We'll clarify that for you. The party executives wanted to have access. There was the General Secretary, the National Organizer, very early, around 5:30. It appears they may have access now. We'll clarify that for you also, all here on PM Express. Stay with us. After this, we'll sit down for a conversation, and I'll get my guests, the leadership of Parliament, who are joining me in the studio to weigh in on what is unfolding at the EOCO headquarters. Okay, and thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. And it's an evening when we have a lot happening, particularly at the EOCO headquarters. But I'm joined in the studio by Roxing Nelson Dafiamekpo. He's a majority chief whip. Also joining me tonight is Abib Idrisu, and he is a deputy minority whip. And both gentlemen have been in the House today. First day back from that long recess, and I'm delighted to be hosting them. We are looking forward to tomorrow when the real work begins. And I want to quickly start, and by the way, I'll be taking you to the EOCO headquarters for the very latest from my colleague there. He has the party's national organizer with him, and they have been trying to get to Wontumi. We want to clarify if indeed they have succeeded. When we get that, we'll bring that to you. But Habib, give me your reaction to what has been happening today to your Ashanti Regional Chairman.
Evans, good evening to your viewers. It's unfortunate that where we are as a country, Ghana, known as a beacon of democracy from our neighboring countries, considering where we are or where we have gotten to in the democratic ladder, that today the ruling government thinks that they can arrest anybody anywhere at any time. That is rather unfortunate. Left to me alone, nobody is above the law, and any other person can be arrested and cautioned. But the difficulty is how the Rambo style that they use in arresting Chairman Wontumi is rather unfortunate. We know that somewhere last week, in his residence in Kumasi, there was some national security operative or NIB operative that was in his residence. And our understanding is that, according to his lawyers, they did engage the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service. And yesterday he reported there. I think he had interactions with them. His statement was taken. He was released, but he was being asked to report today. So today he went to the police CID to report as the part of the conditions that they gave him yesterday. And when everything was done, he was on his way home. And then a Rambo style, you know, a pickup with armed men crossed his car, more than 2-3 pickups, you know, just harassed him on the road, forcefully took him out of his car, and then have to send him...
Forgive me, there's something happening on the ground that I want to go to. My colleague, Kojo Breeze, is standing by right now from the EOCO headquarters. Yes. Yes, Kojo Breeze, talk to me about what you've learned. There's a lot of questions tonight about whether he's indeed there, what he's been charged with, has he been given access to his lawyers. I know party executives have been trying to get clarity.
And as you can see, still the party members are still here. I have with me the national chairman. He's been here for quite some time now. And national organizer of the MPP, Henry Nanabuachi. Let's try and find out from him what he has been able to gather so far. So what do we know? Is he there?
Yes, now I can confirm that he's there. I'm also told that he's there with a lawyer. Andy Apiakubi is with him. What we don't know is what he's being investigated for. We understand that he's in the interrogation room. We are ready to be here overnight. As you can see, when we spoke earlier, we had a handful of our people here now. We are massing up. We are law-abiding political party. We would cooperate fully with any investigative body. What we will resist is any form of political harassment, and that is what we are witnessing. An investigative body, CID, invites Chairman Wontumi on Monday. He appears at the CID headquarters. Tuesday, he was told to report. He reported today, just when he was about exiting. Then you have almost about 4 pickups with men masked, armed to the teeth, and just dragged Chairman Wontumi into the pickup, and then they brought him here.
So you've still not been able to tell as to why he's been held here?
We don't know. We don't know why he's been held here. We don't know what they are investigating Chairman Wontumi for.
But you can reach out to the lawyer on phone and ask him what's happening there.
They don't allow phones there. They don't allow phones there. So, in fact, earlier on, I came here with the General Secretary. We were allowed to enter into the reception area. We thought that we were going to see him, only for them to come back to tell us that, unfortunately, they cannot allow us access to Chairman Wontumi. That is what I'll repeat it again. We are law-abiding. We are going to cooperate fully with any investigative body. But what we are against is this Rambo style of arrest, this political harassment. That is what we are against. I mean, quite recently, look at Adenta Kumi. Such a useless arrest. For what? Because he had petitioned the president? No. Look at Okateche first arrest. Very uncalled for. The NDC government is sending us back to the dark days. And that is what is unfortunate. If you invite us, we'll come. We'll come for any form of investigation. You want us to support the
investigation.
Exactly.
But won't you be concluding hastily to say it's political persecution when you've not had the details of why he's been held in there?
No, but that is what we are seeing. Look, why is it that an investigative body invites him, and then just when he's exiting, then you arrest him in such a Rambo style? So what is wrong if you invite him to EOCO and say that, look, make a date with us on this day? What is wrong with that? So why cause all of this action movie style of arrest? Why? For me, this is unfortunate. And I keep saying this. This is not why many Ghanaians voted for President Mahama. Look, 6 months ago, if President Mahama had mounted a platform and campaigned that when he comes, he's going to cause arrest, he's going to use men wielding guns to arrest people in Rambo Saitena Ghanaians, we're going to be happy with him? No, I don't think so. Yes, we are all for accountability. But this mode of arrest, this kind of political victimization and political harassment is uncalled for. That is what we are fighting against.
Are you not sure your presence here with your supporters could probably be a factor in why he's not been released as of now?
No, I don't think so. Rather, I think that we need to show that support. We need to register our displeasure. His Excellency the President must know, must see that, look, if you want to conduct any form of investigation, I mean, Joy FM should not be here. By now, you should be doing something else. Joy FM of all media houses should not be here. It is because of the kind of arrest which has also triggered the mass movement of our members to this place that has caused all of this. So for me, it's unfortunate. They could have just invited him. Yesterday, when he was invited to the police CID, nothing happened. It was very quiet. It was smooth. Today, he reported. It was smooth. It was quiet. They could have gone the same way. Unless maybe they want to achieve a certain purpose we are not aware of. But clearly, we are against this kind of political harassment. I think that it is not Ghanaian. We have moved beyond this. We have advanced in terms of our democratic tenets. And for me, I don't think that this is what we need.
So yours says occupy until he is released. Is that the tagline?
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly. We are going to be here.
Even if it's tomorrow,
we are going to be here.
And that you won't go home to sleep?
We are going to be here. You can be here with me, Gojo. Are you going to be here with me?
Well, let's see. As far as when it happens, we'll report, so I'll be here.
Thank you.
So that's the national chairman and national organizer of the NPP. Still, if you look at the frontage of EOCO, people are still gathered here. The supporters of the NPP have gathered here still. I've seen John Buedu here, former general secretary of the party. I saw him here a while ago. Let's see how, but you see, I've seen a lot more people gathering. Okay, so I see John Buedu here. Let's try and pick one or two thoughts from him. General, I mean, I'm sure it's because of Wontumi that you're here.
Exactly.
Have you been able to use your own contact to get to understand what exactly is happening there?
I'm even surprised whether he's here because he hasn't received any formal invitation from EOCO. You will recall that about 3-4 days ago, they attempted arresting him in his house. Whether he was there or not, nobody knows. And there has been instances where people's houses has been raided by so-called tax. That's how I see it, because there's somebody who is a lawful citizen of this country who has never run from any invitation whatsoever. And you saw what happened in Kumasi. He had written to the CID that invited him that he will appear before them. He went there yesterday, was asked to come back today. And after he had lawfully appeared before them, then EOCO, who has never written to him, as far as we know, accosted and adopted him. That's how I see, because you see, this is a government, just as President Mahama said, they have a history of militarism. They have a history of adopting and killing people. And this is just an offshoot of the PNDC. And that's exactly what we are saying, because how on earth?
EOCO is a body that your government also worked with. You cannot say it's militarizing our democracy, can you?
EOCO is a body that we work with. Can you give an example where somebody was invited by another agency, security or investigative agency, then EOCO waited around 4 or 5 and just whisked the person away, and we don't know whether he's here or not? You understand? Because I don't think that it is right for us to continue this way. And this path that we are traversing is a path that will not have an end, because the NDC or John Mahama is not going to stay in power forever. And if this is how they are going to treat their political opponents, I don't think that Wontumi, with all the allegations they are saying, is the only person in this country who may have involved himself in whatever, assuming it is true. Why haven't they arrested all of them? We were aware that there are people who were even under investigation and before the law courts. This government decided to set all of them free. So if you can set Opunu and Co free, why not wait and go through proper processes in order to avoid all this noise that we are seeing? What do they want to achieve? If not for political persecution, what else?
So what message are you sending government with you and your members amassing here?
I think that governments have a responsibility and an obligation to implement court decisions. Court of this land has ruled that Ablekuma North constituency elections, security agencies should provide security for Electoral Commission to declare the results. 5 months after the election, we are still there. We are incapable. Our security is so weak, said that they cannot and they have not been able to declare Ablekuma North constituency elections. After 5 months, if one constituency out of 276 constituencies have not been able to be declared by this government, I wonder and relish what will happen in 2028. And I think that this is something that you and I should not be thinking that it is something that we can just brush it over, because it is a dangerous trend. It is a trend that if we are not very careful, we'll get into an area where law and order in this country will be at risk. Because where elections was held, it was declared, the president, even the opponent, that's His Excellency Mahmoud Bawumia, didn't even wait for Electoral Commission to declare. That shows decency. That shows maturity. That shows good citizenship. So if that has been done, and we have avoided all the tension that this nation will have found itself if we had delayed the elections, then if one gives you such a gesture, is that how you are going to take this country? Is that how you are going to take this country? We are aware all the machinations to remove the Chief Justice.
That is why
we are aware all the machinations to temper with the sacrosanctity of the
okay, General.
And I think that it is something that you and I must loudly speak against. It should not come from me. If it comes from me, it looks like it's political. But if it is done to me and you don't speak about it, when it gets to your turn, I wonder who would do that for you.
Thank you very much. So that's John Boyd, who is the former General Secretary of the NPP. Well, so we are still here. We've seen the police barricading the frontage of, EOCO. So, Evans, I would leave it at this point in time, but we are still here. Whatever happens, we will bring you the update here on the Joy News channel.
And thank you very much, Kojo Brace, there, live from the EOCO headquarters. And Habib, you were talking about this, but the national organizer said something that we are massing up. Why? I mean, this is a law enforcement agency, creation of statute, that is simply doing its job by asking a few questions of a former national chairman of your Ashanti regional branch. Why must you mass up?
Evans, if the government and the security agencies behave as they have done, you will be left with no other option than to also marshal your numbers to go and give support to our colleague. The New Patriotic Party, the NPP, is a very democratic party that respects the rule of law. It respects the institutions of democracy. And then the police, like I said earlier on, invited the Ashanti regional chairman. He went there. They granted him bail. Then he was asked to report. Then when he reported upon exiting, the Rambo style that NDC used to, or the security agencies used to arrest him, is unacceptable. It must be condemned. I don't think the NDC is attempting to add P back to the name, to make it a PNDC, because it is only in the military junta or the PNDC era that this kind of arrest is being done. Chairman Wontumi is a citizen of this country. He's a very known person. He is the regional chairman of one of the biggest political party in Ghana. He cannot hide anywhere. So if you need him, just like you invited him to the police CID, and you need him at EOCO, definitely, if you extend the invitation, he will definitely not say he will not show up. He will show up. But this kind of intimidating, the tactics of how people are being arrested, people are being sent to security agencies, is unacceptable. Like we were watching, you could see that even before Electoral Commission could declare the results, His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia said, okay, I'll concede defeat. Any more waiting of time for the Electoral Commission to do its work might throw the country into chaos. So for the interest of peace, for the interest of the democracy, I will concede and let us move on. Ghanaians gave NDC this overwhelming majority in Parliament. They have given them that number, a 1 point something, over 1 million vote victory. Not for them to intimidate people, but it was given to them to govern. To govern doesn't mean you should be arresting people.
But Habib, let me bring you your good friend, Roxing. Roxing, is this intimidation or a state agency simply doing its work?
Good evening to Habib, my ex-brother, my ex-friend, my ex-family member.
Your Karen brother.
And good evening to my constituents in Pekik, Palik, Perfect Tongo. I'm happy that today Parliament has reconvened and we are dealing with serious matters of state. NPP says what?
That you're intimidating them, and this is...
Intimidating who?
The national chairman, the Ashanti regional chairman.
Evans, you are in this country. Gregoria Fuku was arrested by government security agencies, supposedly investigated.
Ironically, he was also a regional chairman.
Hold on. No, that's Gregory.
So that's a brother.
That's the brother.
The brother of Paula Foko, the national chairman.
Not just regional chairman. He became a national chairman who got suspended and eventually dumped. But I'm not speaking of him. I'm speaking of the actual victim. He was accused of murder. Fine. Martin Kpebu ensured that even crimes of that nature, bails are securable. A bail was secured for him. The government sponsored litigation to oppose that bail. His government. They went on appeal and got the bail granted by Superior Court of this country reversed. Gregory Afoko remained in jail, in police custody, prison custody for 10 years. That is not intimidation. Accusation of murder, not proven murder. Accusation. And there are accusations. In October 2022, the lance minister of the Nana Akufo-Addo's government, Abu Jinapo himself, asked that Akutna mining be prosecuted in this country. He called for the prosecution of Akunta mining. I didn't. My government didn't. Our government didn't. The call for his prosecution came from them. They are guilty of the relation of duty. So if a government has come and is yielding to the call that was made 3 years ago, what didn't people go through in this country? Me, my building, I was accused of building on government land.
I remember that.
Here, we discussed it in this very...
on the other side. Building. I remember, when we're talking about breaking news, I just remember that's one of the stories we covered as breaking. Because they had sent men to your house and they had broken it down.
They sent men at 1 a.m. to my home and brought it down. Called to anybody who mattered, won't yield. My building had to come down because I'd gone to talk too much about a certain matter. All the MPP neighbors, my neighbors who were MPP, they were spared. They've been spared till today. So these matters, we can speak about them when we like. I'm not in support of what may be happening. But the sudden change in attitude of the NPP that these things are strange, they are unconstitutional, they are unlawful, they are illegal. The current serving Attorney General, do you know what happened to him?
What happened to him?
His home was stormed with men wielding guns as if they were going to Iraqi war. The current Minister of Energy, he came to Parliament and complained. We screamed. And they told us that once the state agencies are in charge, it's a criminal investigation, we should allow the institutions to do their work. We were told on the floor of Parliament. We screamed parliamentary privileges, immunities, and they won't listen to us. Members of Parliament, other persons. Agojo, ACP Agojo, he was picked on accusations that he had conspired to overthrow the Republic. It took him like 5 years to have his freedom.
But if it's wrong, then it's wrong now.
Yes, I agree. But they held the process. It's the processes that they refer to as Rambo style. Oh, we've gone beyond Rambo. There are more action movies than Rambo. So stop using Rambo. Rambo is a cake. If you really want to describe the Gestapo style of arrest. But you loved it. You deployed it. Sam George was slapped physically, molested physically on video. We all saw it. For standing up to hooded security men that he couldn't identify. Inquiries were made. The attack on him was whitewashed. Our own colleagues in Parliament didn't see anything wrong with it. So my freedom had been curtailed before.
You?
Yes.
For what?
Well, and they won't allow anybody to see me. But eventually, I'm sitting here.
But you said something that you're not necessarily in favor of what is happening.
Yes.
Which part of what is happening?
Hold on. So if by all means we have problems with Wontumi, we should invite him. And if he won't come, I've been a practitioner, so me understand the court processes. Let's look into the matter. Let's issue the criminal summons. Let's serve them. And let him bring this battalion to court to come and defend himself if he won't. Because these things, it attracts unnecessary attention and criticism for government. And where I'm privileged to be serving in government and in that role, I don't like things like this because they are needless. You understand? Because this man's prosecution was demanded by the NPP government itself. But the people who were supposed to have acted, they were afraid of him. Nobody is afraid of him in the NDC. And let me also say, because the APs will say that when you are cautioning the chicken to beware, you must also pity the hawk, while the hawk will always come after the chicks for feed. So you are trying to drive the hawk away. You must also be cautioning your chicks that you to take cover. If you expose yourselves, you attract the soup of the hawk. Well, to me, if you are invited, by all means, go and...
He went. He went yesterday. And then to the CID. The CID then cautioned him on matters relating to illegal mining. Then he went there to actually come today. So he went again with his lawyers.
Yes.
Just when he left the premises, then these vehicles accosted him.
Yes. Let me give you like 10 scenarios. 10
moved him.
In the immediate past. Gregory Afoko was granted bail from court. He had his temporary freedom. As soon as he stepped out of court, they changed the charge sheet. They brought different charges and rearrested him. The term rearrest is this state institution. They use it all the time. So we may not like it, but it is a modus operandi. I've suffered it. Others have suffered it. So many. Dr. Comrade Onko woke up one day. His entire home was surrounded. We raised the matter on the floor. We were told that parliamentary immunity is no privilege against police inquiry. He had to submit. My own leader, Mahama Yarega, was prosecuted by the special prosecutor. What did he do? Really nothing. Eventually, it took a full haul of the trial to vindicate him. So, I am saying that these are the processes that we have all come to know. So if today the complaint is that it is the NDC that is deploying it, it's a fat lie. It's a monstrous lie.
They are repeating same then.
No. You see, the NDC, the people who are in the security agencies were not appointed by the NDC.
But the head of EOCO was appointed by the president.
Yes, but why not?
And nothing will happen.
Why? Is the head of EOCO the one effecting the arrest? It is a matter that has come to the attention of EOCO. I'm sure perhaps it's this evening or tomorrow that they may be briefing him. But if middle-level officers are accustomed to these matters, they will do what they have to do.
There's something else related to this. You accept that you have done this in the past, and he admits that this is not something that he supports. I didn't hear you once condemn what your party did, and the evidence is there. You use this very widely. It's been done to you, now you're complaining. Fundamentally, something must change. And I'll come to the substantive matters because there are a lot of them that still relate to these same matters. Something must change. Just commit to that and let's move on to the major issues.
Yes. I am very saddened about the event happening now in Ghana. I am very sad. It's a sad moment to me, even as a politician. The fact that we think that the institutions of government, that the democracy or democratic institutions in a country have failed, that you can only pick up somebody in that style, whether he thinks we should change it in a Rambo style or not, but it is to explain the style they use in picking him up. This politics of equalization must be stopped.
No, I mean,
no.
Did you
when I listen to my
one thing is done though, it's called it unnecessary. So that just him against his own government.
But what I'm saying is
did you even condemn it when it happened?
I will condemn it irrespective of.
I didn't hear you condemn it when it happened.
I will condemn it
in your house.
Irrespective of the administration that is in.
But I didn't hear you then.
But the politics, if you listen to the chief whip, you see the angle that he was coming from, even though he just threw in one word to say he's not in agreement with what actually is going on.
He also called it unnecessary.
But he's saying that in effect, it is a politics of equalization, and that made me very sad. The fact that what happened to Gregory Afoko, what happened to our current majority leader, what happened to the current energy minister and the current attorney general, he cited those examples. Must that be a justification of what should happen to you and I? Or what should happen to Chairman Wontumi?
Okay, so
it needs to be condemned. And we must move away from that.
Okay.
Considering the fact that, like I said,
you're saying
like he said, we are all members of Parliament.
I'll look for you.
The Speaker said today that nobody is above the law, and if any member of Parliament need to be investigated, Chairman Wontumi is not the first member of the New Patriotic Party who has been invited to EOCO. I am telling you on authority. Many former government officials have been invited to EOCO. Why is this an issue? It is an issue because of how he was picked up. It is an issue today because many members of Parliament have been invited by the police CID. Many members of Parliament have been invited by BNI and National Security. But for the fact that it was not like this way.
Both parties are guilty of this. Let's make progress. You are leadership in Parliament. Are you committing tonight that under your watch and working with your party, this very way of doing things will stop? When next you get opportunity to govern?
Yes, I am very positive that considering what is going on in the country, it is clear that the New Patriotic Party will come back in 2028. We will not do this.
Okay, I will look
if
for
Ghanaians
you.
give us the money,
I'll look for you.
We will not do this.
I'll look for
I will
you
not sit down in any
happens.
form of government for that to happen to my former friend, my former brother, and my current majority chief whip, Roxanne Nelson, Eche Dafiamapo. I will not let that happen to you. But I'm very sad today, as a politician, that I would sit down and think that I can just be driving home from Joy FM and I can just be stopped as if I'm a common criminal.
Okay.
Irrespective.
Roxanne,
until proven guilty, you are still innocent.
Roxanne, the majority leader today in his opening address
No,
to Parliament.
let me say this quickly.
Okay.
John Jinapo was accosted in traffic and his vehicle taken away from him on suspicion that the vehicle that he was driving was for government during the changeover.
But they physically removed him from the vehicle?
Yes, you were here. You were in this country. You may not have been in Parliament, but I know that you were in the heart of the government at the time. We had come to Parliament fresh. He had been, a deputy minister, then for some time acting. There was no substantive, so he was reporting to the finance minister. These things have happened. So that was your point. And I'm saying the point I was making is that this is the modus operandi of this state apparatus. If it is wrong, let's agree that it is wrong. But don't say that it's a novel approach to handling these matters and that the NDC. No, at all. At all. I suffered it, others suffered. So, look, in October 2022, 4 persons, Engineer Ken Ashigbe, Martin Kpebu, Kwame Asiedu, and Edem Senanu, they called for the prosecution of Chairman Wontumi.
They actually sent a petition.
Thank you.
CID.
It was nobody paid attention to it. It was followed again in respect of some other activities in May 2023. In fact, that time they asked for the arrest of Mr. Freddie Blay, Chairman Wontumi, Mreku Duka, and others in other Galamsey activities in the Takwa and Swayem area. That nothing happened. In October 2023, another group of persons actually called on the lands minister at the time that it should go beyond the stop order and arrest directors and officers of Wontumi's Akunta mining. That was Occupy Ghana. So the call for Wontumi's arrest and prosecution had been incessant and intensive in the past during their government. But because he was such an important figure, they decided not to prosecute. But you see, prosecution is at the behest of the state. So the mind of the state can change at any time.
And whilst you do that, there's another substantive matter that the majority leader talked about that I'll come to, related to this, the Chief Justice. And something that was dropped today will come to, relating to some rules that will come. Apia Kubi, the lawyer for the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, speaking to the press.
I know where he is, but I'm not going to disclose the hospital where he is. But all that I can say is that my client has been taken to hospital for medical treatment.
So you've been in for about 6 hours. What has been happening in there?
We have given our statement. They preferred some allegations against him. He responded to them. We haven't finished with interrogation, so we'll come back to continue, hopefully tomorrow if his condition improves. Otherwise, he will stay there until that the doctors discharge him, and then he will come back to continue the interrogation. Nevertheless, we have also received this afternoon a writ of summons from Exim Bank, and we are going to respond to the pleadings tomorrow. And I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to mount a defense of the writ. When we are in court, we will indicate that to the court that this we consider a civil matter, for which reason Exim Bank has issued a writ of summons to us, which we are also responding. So this one of a supposed criminal investigation, I am sure and confident that we will be able to also surmount a defense.
Finally, what were the charges that were preferred against him in there?
The laid charges of yes, the laid charges of the relationship between himself and Exim Bank and supposed okay. So it's okay. No matter the
I mean, so as you can see, Lawyer Andy Apiakubi is going to his car. What we do know now, we can confirm, is that Chairman Wontumi has been, we understand, has been taken to, the hospital. So, Mr. Bodu, you were with him. You were with lawyer when he was speaking. Do you know where Mr. Wontumi has been taken to?
Well, he decided not to tell us because it's under a condition that I think the lawyer couldn't even disclose. Yeah.
I heard that he was taken to the hospital and that, I mean, he will be brought back to the facility if the conditions improve.
I think that it is a natural consequence of the mistreatment that was meted out to him, because you invite somebody to appear before an investigative body, within 5 minutes he's done with it, then immediately after that you whisk him away for the past 6 hours. And what do you expect? So we are praying that he recovers as quickly as we can as a result of this mistreatment. Yeah.
But you confirm that that's what the lawyer said?
Yeah, exactly.
So do we know where he's been taken to?
Not yet. Yeah.
He spoke about the charges. What charges were preferred?
He didn't. He just mentioned about some interrogation about Exim Bank or something. That's as far as he can. But that will also be responded to tomorrow. Because it's a civil case, so I don't think that it requires such military-like posture. Yeah.
So now you can go home. Your members can go home.
Well, we will decide whether we want to go or not, because we are not going home. We will decide whether we want to go or not. Yeah.
We are not going home. Thank you very much. So there you have it. We now know. Okay. So Lawyer Afokwa is one of the lawyers, with the MPP. Lawyer, I mean, we just saw Chairman Wontumi being driven out. We've seen Lawyer Apiakubi also going his way. What do you know?
Yeah, certainly. Once you hold a person assisting in the investigation for quite a long time, and he's not eating for the whole day. So certainly his systems needs to be taken care of. And as far as the national security is concerned, they have a facility. So probably they are going to the national security facility at Kaokudi to ensure that he is stabilized in that regard. So certainly we believe that due process will be adhered to. But we are advising that all those who are using militarization, I have persistently stated that Justice Afre, the late Justice Afre, in the Republic versus Ibrahim Adams, openly stated that orders from above or superior orders are not a defense as far as criminal liabilities are concerned. So those watchers, those enforcers who are kowtowing to superior orders, which seemingly it's illegal, doesn't follow due process, must notice that there's no statute on limitation as far as criminal liability is concerned. If you commit crime today, the crime hangs on until hundreds of years, until you are no more. Your body can be assumed and prosecuted posthumously, and the necessary punishment meted out to you. So we should all be wary that as far as you are practicing a democracy, it's a rule of law, and you must let due process prevail. We were with the CID yesterday. He was interrogated, he was cautioned, and he was granted police inquiry bail to appear at 3 p.m. today. We were hopeful that the engagement with the CID will continue until the same militarization, the same whisk-away approach with assault rifles perpetrated today. So once they have decided to use the coercive power of the state against some citizens of the state, we are saying and telling them that the law is the law. If you kowtow to illegal audits and breaches procedure, you that is breaching the procedure should be wary that you are the principal. When the enforcement comes, you will be held liable. Your superior who gave you the command will be held as accessories. It's a joint enterprise crime, and everybody must adhere to it, and we should let due process prevail. We are not saying that if someone has erred, the person should not be scrutinized, and when there is element for you to prosecute the person, you should not. We are building a country, but we should not use persecution against a fellow citizen of this republic. Thank you very much.
Lawyer Fokwa is a lawyer with the MPP, and the Deputy General Secretary is still here with us. So, Haruna, there we've seen the man has been...
And that there is my colleague, Kojo Brace, interacting with the many party executives who have thronged there. And so the update to that is that the interrogation has ended. He's been whisked away. He's going to be stabilized, as you heard one of his lawyers say, because he's not eating the whole day, and his system is obviously reacting to that long period of starvation. So they've whisked him off, apparently, to the NIB's office at Kaukudi. He'll be stabilized and brought back and kept there. He's not been allowed to go home just yet. He's still in the custody of the EOCO, but NIB stepping in because they have a facility where they can stabilize him, get him to eat and relax overnight. And we now know also that part of the case against him will have to do with one of the banks, and he would be... he has writ of summons that has been issued against him now that he will need to respond to, and his lawyers will do so tomorrow. So that's just an update for you from the EOCO offices. And Roxanne, I want to return to something related. Today when Mahama Yariga addressed Parliament, he mentioned in relation to the Chief Justice, who is also currently going through a constitutional process that may lead to her removal, that the government will come before Parliament with possibly a legislation that will change the rules or amend the rules governing Article 146. Clarify that for me.
Thank you very much. If you had followed the commentaries and criticisms accompanying the processes that led to the removal of Charlotte Asai, and before then, the removal of the Superior Court judges that were
caught in the
NAS expose.
Number 12 investigations here.
And also the members of the lower bench, Circuit Court, the magistracy. So in all that gamut of analysis and discussions, the question has been, there's the need for some legislation that will give effect to how Article 146, which is a very elaborate provision, up to about 13 clauses, how that should be effectuated in terms of procedure and all. And so we could do that by a constitutional instrument, by way of guidelines, or we could then enact a substantive parliamentary statute to govern the procedure for those matters. Because you know that the president himself can be removed on stated grounds. The speaker in Article 95 of the Constitution can also be removed on stated grounds. members of parliament, Article 97. Apart from all the various areas given, the 97 became so contentious that it became a matter of a Supreme Court suit sometime in December prior to the elections, and even after, if you recall, Afenyo Markin versus Speaker and all that. So there's been a call for enactment in terms of providing procedure, elaborate procedure.
So this will require constitutional amendment?
Yes. No. You don't need a constitutional amendment. So what he's saying is that there will be either an enactment, a bill, to provide for procedure for matters of Article 146, that when it's triggered, when 146 is triggered, either in respect of a High Court judge, a Court of Appeal judge, or a Supreme Court judge, or the Chief Justice himself or herself, the procedure ought to be provided. But the Constitution only makes provided the mother framework. But the nitty-gritties have retired on their salaries.
They were almost dishonorably discharged.
Yes, which could not have been varied to their detriment. That's the law. So anytime there's an increment, they would have benefited. Today, for many years, and I practiced before some of those judges, some with outstanding legal knowledge. But because of that, a petition by an aggrieved citizen, they're at home with their families in distress. You agree that those processes effected under 146 was legitimate, was lawful, was constitutional. But another process being initiated under the same 146 suddenly is erroneous.
Another argument, in fact, that also was articulated by the bar, was that why don't you wait to enact those legislation, those regulations, and then
are the citizens waiting for the legislations to be, the instruments to be passed before they are bringing their petitions? Why didn't the Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General, as he then was, advise the government, which he was capable of doing? Because at the time, he was offering a lot of the advices, I should say, and not Gloria Kufu, because he was actually in charge of a lot of these things. Why didn't he advise the government that they should stand down these matters until regulations were provided? In any case, it's the law that provides the procedure. Go and check the Courts Act. It provides for the removal of a Chief Justice. It mimics the provision from the Constitution. The Chief Justice herself disciplined a circuit court judge based on a petition brought against the judge by a court user, a party to a matter that was before that judge. The Chief Justice sought to discipline that judge based on the provisions in a subsisting law. She didn't use her discretion. She pursued the matter, disciplined the judge based on provisions in the law. Nobody questioned that. Nobody said she was acting extraneously, extrajudiciary. Referred the matter to the sub-disciplinary committee of the Judicial Council. They came to the Judicial Council with their findings, made adverse findings against the judge. The CJ had then suspended the judge based on the findings of the committee of the disciplinary committee. She fired the judge. The judge got aggrieved, circuit court judge, and proceeded to a court of law in a high court action. I don't know the fate of that. But nobody questioned the power of the Chief Justice to do that. Why? Because those were the provisions of existing law as to how that should be handled. So when the law provides for a matter, for a procedure to be followed in dealing with the matter, it is only that procedure that will be followed. And this is the authority or the proposition in NTAC versus, let me call you, versus NTAC versus, I'll call the authority.
But there's precedent for this.
Yes, there's precedent.
Habib,
you understand?
This is one thing that you should applaud. Right?
In the NTAC case. So
that they want to come to Parliament and spell this out properly so that this process now becomes watertight.
Yes, as much as the call by the majority leader might be in the right direction, but the timing of his call.
What's wrong with the
that
timing?
We are in the middle of a controversy, a scheme, a syndicate to get rid of the...
A scheme, a syndicate.
To get rid of the Chief Justice.
Where is the syndicate?
You see, from day one, if you able to play the videos, the commentary before NDC won the 2024 election, they had made it clear, and it was part of their plans that they did not want to work with the Chief Justice. They said they needed to clean up the court system. They said they needed to get some people aside in their campaign platform. But what is worrying is that I am not a lawyer, but common sense will tell you what actually will constitute a prima facie to remove somebody from office as high as a Chief Justice. That's number 4. Let's put it that way, from President, Vice President, Speaker of Parliament. And if you look at the 3 arms of government, they have tenure of office, whereby you see that the president elected 4 years, he lives with the vice president if they lose an election. The Speaker of Parliament, after 4 years, there will be a new election. The only institution that we have
preserved... Let me add this, the authority, NTAC versus Boyfield.
Boyfield.
Yes, okay. Boyfield, the Boyfield case, 77.
Okay.
Very old authority.
So the only institutions that we have that is actually being respected, that we don't actually, it doesn't have this 4 election tenure that we normally have as stated in our constitution in the case of president, members of parliament, and the Speaker of Parliament, is the Chief Justice.
The office of the Chief Justice.
Chief Justice. But what actually is being done today, if allowed to hold water and succeed, I bet you, Evans, it will be a case that any president elected can with their Chief Justice and also move with their Chief Justice. And that is the worrying part. Because if I listen to commentaries, I haven't cited the exact petition, but if you listen to some of the issues in the petition, the question is that, are they weightier enough to constitute the prima facie case as stated in Article 146? And then also, the arms of government that we have at the moment and the rate at which they are going, it is not only the Chief Justice who is the target. If you ask me, from what I observe, they want to get rid of the Electoral Commission. But if we don't get rid of the Chief Justice, how do we get rid of the Electoral Commissioner? Because in Article 46 and per the rules of our Constitution, to get rid of the Electoral Commission, a petition goes to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice is the one who has to preside over that matter. Now, if we think that the Chief Justice is not with us and we want to get the Electoral Commissioner off, let's get the Chief Justice aside, get somebody we think is comfortable, then bring in a petition. I will not be surprised if tomorrow the Chief Justice is put aside, the next day you'll see a petition for the removal of the Electoral Commissioner. And this is worrying to our democracy. Which institution of our democracy where we think that the presidency is for 4 terms, members of parliament for 4 terms, even though they can be removed, the Speaker of Parliament for 4 terms, then we want to add the judiciary into this drama. That is the worrying factor. As much as I can remember, from 1992, when we came back to democracy, I haven't seen that every Chief Justice, there is a rollover. And in attempting doing that, they have schemed it. That's why I call it a serious scheme. Today, the Speaker of Parliament read before the floor and referred to the appointment committee.
The 7 new justices.
The 7 new justices. We already have 14 or so. And if we add 7, it will be 21. Mind you, if my memory serves me right, in 2017, when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was sworn into office, we had about 14 Supreme Court judges. So it means that he did not add, he just replaced and he left. Now we have 21. Where are we heading to? It was the same, he was a backbencher then, the majority chief whip. He was always on his feet that the 2 justices that were nominated, vetted by the appointment committee, that they will not allow them to be passed, to be added to the bench at the Supreme Court, the 2 of them.
Will you vote for the 7?
So at the moment, Now, you said 2 was, we're going to add to the number to make it 16 is too much. Then you added 7.
So the 7 came before you today. I mean, we are still talking about Parliament.
7. I'm talking about...
Would you vote? I get it. I mean, because we don't have much time. Would you vote for the 7?
The majority caucus haven't taken a decision. The minority caucus haven't taken a decision on it. The Speaker have referred into the appointment committee. We'll have our own discussions and see. But Evans, the point must be made clear. And my good friend Roxon, I know him. He's a very good lawyer. And he has to be worried about this development. The development that we are now trying to politicize the only institution.
But this is a constitutional process.
A constitutional process that the current president, then opposition leader, had made it clear that the current majority in parliament, members of parliament, have made certain things clear. It is very worrying that all the arms of government, this is the only arm of government that is.
Very briefly on this, on the subject of what might come before parliament, which is the regulations to govern the process in 146, you are in support of it, obviously, to make the process more, to clarify the process.
I was actually surprised that the majority leader have to mention this in his, what I was expecting the majority leader to actually state in his welcome address was to say that we will bring back the LBGT bill, which was critical that they used in campaign, that it has been missing from whatever.
Let me ask him briefly.
I was not expecting him to say that they are now coming to give us regulations.
Would you support that?
That is not the problem that we have.
I don't think it's a problem.
No, but because you see, you are now scheming, and or in the middle of your scheming, you want to regulate.
Okay, it's okay. Let me bring it. Roxanne, he just makes a point that when I read through the majority leader's statement today, and he lists 55 bills and legislative instruments that may come to Parliament, will come to Parliament. Yeah. He says you didn't urge the LGBTQ bill.
Thank you very much. But Speaker did, because it was a private member's bill. In filing a private member's bill, if you want to build consensus, you are minded to involve both sides of the House. My information is that Dr. Ntim Fojo, or Reverend Ntim Fojo, was the one who, my colleague, who was very silent when the 7 of us were all over the place. He decided to be silent for 3 years. Suddenly, he's found the
no, but Chief, you cannot say that because President Mahama being sworn in said that he thinks that the state should be collaborating.
Hold on.
That's what President Mahama said.
When you speak, you say a lot of painful things, but I try to...
No, but I just try to draw your attention to that. President Mahama said there must be a collaboration.
He was very quiet when he was speaking.
He filed the private members' bill. It's a repetition of the bill that we submitted. Now, jurisprudentially speaking, Evans, a bill that has gone through all the phases of enactment in Parliament and passed. There is evidence in the Hansard that we passed that legislation. When a legislation is passed by Parliament, when a bill is passed by Parliament into an enactment, properly so-called, Parliament becomes functus officio. What happens thereafter is a matter of administrative processes under the aegis of the clerk to Parliament. So anybody who have a problem trying to repeat a law that Parliament has already passed into an act. What is outstanding is a presidential assent. How that should be procured? Go and ask people like Richard Sky what they did to torpedo that process and the judicial outcome. So we should be asking ourselves what should be done to a legislation like that. But to say that Parliament should go back and pass another legislation when the one passed is still on the banner, not dealt with, some of us will raise the legal issues. Okay. So that is about it. But the bills that we have are germane, For instance,
I'm interested in one, the legal education.
Yeah.
I mean, touch on that for me.
Yes. Look, that bill was long in coming because we waged this war from about 2018 when intake to the law school became acrimonious, contentious, eventually corrupted. Corrupted because evidence emerged that even persons who didn't write law school entrance exams got admitted. I am not the one speaking. It was their own, the General Legal Council's disciplinary committee established these facts. 11 students, even though my information is that there were over 33. But for the records to minimize the impact, they said 11. What became the fate of those 11 students that were admitted backdoor, we are yet to know, but we shall uncover. So we are saying, I have an article that will be published by Thursday. We are asking for the democratization of legal education. What am I saying? Let every faculty accredited to run the academic programs, the LLB programs, let them be accredited or licensed, so to speak, to train their own lawyers.
So they will also, the bar, you can sit there.
So we have one bar exams, which could be conducted twice a year. We have one in January and we have one in July. When you pass it in January, you are called to the bar sometime in March or April. When you pass the June one, you are called sometime in October or September, October in the same year. So that we can have as many lawyers as we want.
So for your purpose, just break it down. So University of Ghana
will become, already the faculties are calling themselves law schools anyway.
Yes.
What becomes of a law school when you can't train lawyers? So we want the faculties to be converted into law schools.
So my part 1, part 2, if I'm in KNUST, I'll just write it there.
Thank you. No, you don't write it there. You are trained. So you do the academics. KNUST, I think they do 3 years academic.
Yeah.
LLB, if you are from SS, 4 years. If you are postgraduate, post-LLB, you do 3. Then, depending on the content of the professional training, it can be 1 year, 1.5 years, or 2 years maximum. If somebody is so focused, the person should be able to complete it in a year because it's practical courses. When you are ready, you sit for the bar.
Okay. Anywhere?
Anywhere.
You don't have to come
but
to
the bar exams will be conducted by the GLC.
Okay.
So that the Ghana School of Law, sitting in Makola, as we call it, will no longer have the monopoly. Itself will also become a competitor in the training of lawyers. So it will become a separate school, who admit its own students afresh, train them in the academics. When they are done, train them in the professional, in the practical courses. When they are ready, you go and face the bar. You pass the bar, you are called.
It sounds almost like what you have with the WAEC. So you study, you go and write your exam, you pass, you move on.
In any case,
so you have the GLC then becomes the equivalent of the WAEC that administers the exams. Okay.
So that it's not everybody who becomes a lawyer who wants to be a practitioner. That's the erroneous impression in the minds of a lot of some of these.
But there are more people with law, called to the bar who are not in practice.
Thank you very much.
They are in corporate
and we need them. Look, if you enter a lot of assemblies in this country, you see that you need lawyers who may not even be practitioners, but who have the legal training, who has the legal mind to guide you on a lot of the things we do.
This will be part of this meeting?
Why not? I'm the government whip. We are even minded to move this under certificate of urgency. It is one of our major political promise. I won't deliver it. And I'm sure you'll be converted.
I mean,
you'll be happy. He himself, he wants to, he will benefit. He will benefit.
I know. He said it already.
He can sit in his home in Tamale and write the exams
and go
without stress.
So we all don't have to go in queue and write entrance exam into Mokola, and then people will then take advantage. The things that people do.
Yes.
Just to get that entrance exam.
I tell you no
amazing.
Lie. The corruption. It will reduce the corruption. It will reduce the stress. Young people want to be legally trained so they can contribute to the growth of this society.
So the point at which you sift people is when you sit for the bar.
Thank you.
Because if your education output on that point has been poor, it will reflect.
Thank you.
And then you are sifted out, and then you have to go and start again.
I tell you.
Okay.
Yes,
This makes sense, right?
Yes, it makes sense.
Let me finish.
It makes sense.
And the other bills that we have 144 questions that's far filed. We have 31 urgent questions. So, 144 plus 31, that is 175 questions.
Is my number when I was reading it? I mean, really all in this meeting?
Yes. But the questions are to be responded to by ministers, and they're in the categories. But the 31 urgent questions, some were filed before we went on recess. But the urgency of it is such that I fear they may be caught by a function of time, because when something is urgent, it needs to be treated with speed, alacrity, and priority. So I am pleading with my leader. I did that this morning, that customarily we don't take questions in the first week. But because of things I can anticipate, that we don't want, when we get to July, then we are sitting deep into the night, the workload is coming, we can take off some of these things and state, when we have statement, you take them early. When you have questions, let ministers come and answer, respond to them early. Then you take them off the books. Then when the meat of the work comes, we can have time to deal with them. That is public business, government business.
And before I bring you on, I just want him to start, apart from that...
Transport Minister, for instance, wants to bring amendment to the road traffic amendment to regularize Okada, a major promise we gave to the people. We are looking at what age can somebody participate or be permissible in law to do Okada riding. Okada means commercial riding on motorbikes. When we license, we want to look at that. I'm debating my leader as to whether it should be 18, because 18 you can vote. It should be 18 or 21. 21, the contract law says that's when you can contract. So, the Okada riders, I can gauge from his mind is that in the Contract Act, you can contract at 21. That's when the law says you attain majority. So most of the Okada riders, they enter into commercial agreement with people and take that. So I can appreciate the jurisprudence behind its position. But when we get there, we'll deal with these matters.
Very, very interesting indeed. Yes, your comment.
Yes, for the
legal education.
The legal education bill, it is a beautiful one. I think
let's end it there. Once it's
don't pollute it. I have engaged him on it. You see, he is a government whip. I've also been a government deputy whip before. I understand how this meeting, particularly for the mid-year budget, but listening to the agenda that they presented to the business committee, and then listening to the statement of the majority leader, you come to the conclusion that this government is off balance. Really? Off balance in a sense that, one, he's talking about they promised Okada and they are going to deliver that, so he's in the... But you have forgotten about the fact that you promised Ghanaians 24-hour economy. What have you done about it? What have you said about it? Nothing is before Parliament at the moment with regards to the 24-hour economy. Was it a scam? And I can understand, because now they cannot even keep our lights on for 8 hours. How do you run a 24-hour economy? It is missing seriously with regards to the agenda and what they want to do. The assemblies, when the finance minister was speaking, he said they will be able to empower assemblies. They will give 80% of what is coming from the common fund to the assemblies. Now the assemblies are crying. The DCs are suffering. They are carrying DCs.
They mentioned that.
Because there is no statutory payment. We raised the majority chief whip, the minority whip, Honorable Frank Anodonpre, raised that matter, that statutory payment has not been done.
But it is part of the agenda.
No, but the agenda is that they are unable to pay statutory payment. That's the reality, and that's the truth of it. The assemblies are crying. His own DC, as the time he has been appointed as a DC up to now, nothing has gone to the assembly. What are they going to work with? The local governance system is on its knees. They talk about a lot of things that they were going to do. The LBGT that I spoke about, it is missing. Statutory payment, even the health insurance, the formula. We haven't been able to pass the formula. We are going to the CFMAT. What is the government doing? Are they serious at all? Did they just use propaganda to win the election through 24-hour economy? There is nothing before us. Today, even on the floor, we raise the issue of the ECG, when the minister responsible for energy told us that about how many number of containers were missing. And for that matter, we have demanded that he should come.
Had a whole paragraph on it.
No, but we demanded that. We did a press conference before the majority leader's statement to the effect that the minister responsible for energy should come and brief us, because our information is that they have been able to find all the containers at the port.
So
who were you deceiving? But they made a lot of noise about it, as if somebody was a thief, as if somebody carried containers somewhere. When you find it, you should be able to be honest enough to tell Ghanaians that the containers that we spoke about, we have been able to find it. Try my government whip. My government whip, make sure that your assemblies are liquidated. They don't have money. Even now, many things that are happening, the assemblies are borrowing money from people because they don't even have anything. Don't let your assembly go dry. The NHIA, the Common Fund, the statutory payment, it needs to be done. Even Parliament second release has not been done. Even members of Parliament, salary? You know, it is money that are released to Parliament for its daily upkeep and other things. It has not been released. And you are part of that institution, Parliament. When you were telling me that you are part of the executive, I see you to be part of the party and Parliament, because your position as a whip is not an executive.
Part of the executive.
No, you said it. You said it. No. You said it. And no. Mike, you said it. You said it. You were part
my position
as part of the executive.
No. And as part of the
role, you can look for the video, and that's what you said.
No.
And my thinking was that is it
the case? Let's clarify now, because we have to really end. So
Chief Whip,
you finish. I'll respond.
Chief Whip, what you should be doing and what Ghanaians expect of you is to be able to make sure that your district assemblies are well liquidated. Okay. You spoke a lot about Galamsey when you were campaigning and speaking a lot about it, harassing people about it. But there is no single funding dedicated for reclamation. Nothing has been done. So if you drive them away, the land is still going to be like that. There must be funded. Nothing on the budget of the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. The Gold Board, there is nothing that is being done in order of reclamation of our land. You make a lot of noise about Galamsey. Do something about it. You made a lot of noise about 24-hour economy. Nothing is being heard about it again. It was just a slogan. The ECG brief us.
And I have a minute to wrap up. Roxy.
Don't give me a minute. One.
You can hear the background.
One, quickly. Yeah. Do something about Galamsey. We are prosecuting Wontumi for illegal mining. You are up in arms. You are sounding incongruous. Two, you are asking us to launch 24-hour. We've told you that 24-hour is a guide policy. For instance, in the judiciary, we are introducing a program that will make court seats like 3 times in a day.
With which light? With which light? And the light is going off.
I listen to you. So pay attention. Mm-hmm. That introduction will lead to hearing of cases on a 3-shift basis. Several judges will sit in the same court. It will provide space for us to recruit more judges. More cases will be heard with alacrity, speed, expeditious disposal of cases, better administration of justice delivery system and all. So pay attention to the 24-hour economy.
There is nothing like 24-hour economy.
Keep quiet.
It's a slogan.
It is affecting government for 5 months. It is affecting every facet of the economy. Look, budget was approved March 21st. It took us about 6 weeks to load the budget onto the GIVME system. It's been done sector by sector. The finance minister is now ready to release funds to agencies, ministries, and all. This is not the first time that during the changeover, in the first year of that government, it happened in 2017. You may not have been in the heart of the government, but it happened. I was in Parliament. I saw it. It is nothing new. I am saying this government, with all the difficulties that it has in respect of early releases of statutory payments because of these constitutional strictures, we've done very well. DACF will receive payments, I think, by Friday. Your assemblies will be paid. The minister will issue a major statement regarding the guidelines, regarding the utilization. And we
in his mid-year budget?
No, before the media.
Before then, okay.
Major guidelines.
No, so you see, that is the troubling part. You've been in Parliament
I need
for
to
long.
wrap up.
When has a minister issued a statement on guidelines as to how
it's never been done. But the minister,
it is alien to the rules. It has never been done.
Utilization of
the minister doesn't have that power under the Constitution.
Okay, when will this happen? I need to wrap up.
Habib, let me. The second meeting. Comport yourself. The second meeting of Parliament, this Parliament, is not about the media. Yeah. It's about the passage of the Road Traffic Amendment Act to legalize Okada. It's about the passage of other legislations that will give comfort. It's about the passage of other legislations such as the one you mentioned that will bring some space.
The one I want is the legislation on the scholarship.
That will be done. That will be brought.
But what I'm saying is, your minister responsible for finance cannot bring regulation to regulate the expenditure of.
For instance, the gender ministry has the social protection law. The LI, the Children's Amendment Act passed in 1998. It's been 27 years. It's been cut by a function of time. There's the need for amendment. That will be done. Child Justice Administration, which is part of Act 29, the Criminal Offences Act, which provides for the offences. There's a small provision on juvenile justice. We want to elaborate on it and make it Child Justice Administration. Aini is leading that. Amendment of the Domestic Violence Act, which is about 20 years, is being cut by. Now, when we were enacting that legislation, our focus was on abuse of women by men. But now the women are also abusing the men. So we need to offer protection to people like Habib, so that when he suffers, that he can have remedy.
No,
we have an ally for the affirmative action at 2024, which they brought and they failed to bring the ally. So this second meeting will be very heavy on legislative matters. That is why we are asking the agencies, when we met them, that please bring your programs early, especially in June, so that in July, I can get people like Habib to sit down and work, so he won't leave the chamber. So we don't spend time into the night working. So, Evans,
this government is for bills.
This government is proceeding
for bills. When your core agency, your finance minister is not releasing monies to them. Your ministry are suffering. They are crying.
Okay.
So release monies to them.
Thank you
the
very
economy
much.
is dry. There is no money. Your ministers are suffering. They don't have any money.
Thank you very much.
Your assemblies are suffering.
Whip.
On the phone money. The energy minister is crying. He doesn't have money to buy fuel and other things.
Anyway,
for the past 2 days,
so tomorrow.
Then go and pay your bill. Go and buy lights. You are not paying. Go and buy your prepaid.
And you're the rest.